Once upon a time, a little girl became very sick and lost all her memories. She was empty as the day she was born. But in that dark emptiness, the voice of God spoke, "Walk, talk, heal." And by grace through faith, she did. Soon, the girl was even fuller and more alive than before her forgetting. But the voice of God continued to speak to her, and soon he commanded, "Heal others as I have healed you. Teach them the power of faith, that it may connect them to me and my power." My name is Robin Renee Wilson, and that little girl was me. For the last 35 years, through my relationship with God, I have participated in many miracles of healing, prophecy, and deliverance. None of these should be possible, but that is God's way. You can accomplish anything, heal the deepest wounds, and create doors where there were only walls, if you simply trust in faith over facts. Welcome back to Faith Over Facts. I am Robin Renee, and I have my cousin here, Dr. Susan Bradshaw. I am super excited to have you here, cousin.
And I'm excited to be here.
Yay! So tell us about yourself.
Well, again, my name is Susan Bradshaw. I obtained my medical degree from the University of Pittsburgh. I eventually ended up completing a residency program in preventive medicine at Loma Linda.
Okay.
And at Loma Linda, that's where I started working in weight control. And it was an experience because it's something that at the time I was going through medical school was not taught in medical school. So this is something I was introduced to as a resident, and I really enjoyed it. And I learned about how detailed and how involved it can be. It's just not simply sitting down. For some people, it can be simply sitting down, saying you're going to cut the sweets out, you're going to cut the desserts out. But usually that does not do well. Just having a list of foods that you're going to eat or not going to eat, that doesn't do well for most people. So most people need other tips. They need other things in their life to help them keep the weight off.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, because that brings me to, the struggle is real. And we just started a challenge, Let Me Love Me. And I tell you, the struggle has been hard, and just trying. I started off very well, and I'm doing good, but I hit those plateaus, and I'm like, okay, like if stress happens, and I find myself getting like that Danish, or getting, instead of choosing, the oatmeal, the fruit, or the yogurt, I get that comfort food. I go run to the comfort food, and it's just been a struggle. I think all my life we always had dessert with after every meal, or growing up, or whatever, and so just trying to get to that place where I don't hit those plateaus. And I have started over, how you stop, and I have restarted over again. But it's been real. Like the stress, I noticed that I'm a stressful eater. I eat when I get stressed. And so, I can't say, I don't ever want to be stressed, because life is going to happen. Things are going to happen. And the thing about it, I can pray and everything, but somehow I know I end up going to get that ice cream, or like I said, that Danish or something. So I just really want to get to a place where I'm not there, So I think we're going to talk about today some tips on how to, get over those hurdles and stuff in our life. But this weight loss journey is real. I thought, I got this, have my accountability partner. I put it out there before the world to see that I'm going to do this challenge. Let Me Love Me. And I'm like, okay, this is hard. Yes. So I was like, let me see if I can bring my cousin on to kind of give us some pointers. So addiction. I noticed the addiction, is real. Like, can you help us? How do we get over different addictions, these food addictions? Like, different. There's so many different addictions, sweets and sodium and different type of addictions. Can you how do we overcome our addictions?
Well, to be honest with you, the story you just shared is a very common story. It's something that I live with. And in terms of addictions, it's not really your fault. It's not. The way the food industry is, they know how to create a pastry that will have you thinking about that pastry for the next 3 months. And so that's one thing. people should stop placing all of the blame of their weight on themselves.
Ooh, that's good.
You have to remember, it is a industry. There's somebody out there making hundreds of thousands of dollars because you're overeating their foods. And so what they've done is they've done so much research into the human anatomy in terms of the brain and human behavior. And they know how to make you feel good after you eat the food.
Yes, and it feels good.
It does. And they even know how to release certain feel-good chemicals in your brain. In your brain. And that's what you're responding to. People don't know it because they don't see it and they don't understand it. But that's what the type of food that we are eating now that is processed, meaning that a man or some company or somebody came and made alterations to food either that has never been, is not man-made or is not natural, I should say. So anytime you consume something that's not natural, chances are it has chemicals in there to make you addicted to it and also for the food to last longer. So because of those things, and I just want you to understand that it is not your fault. You're doing the best that you can. But girl, these people have put the addictive chemicals in your food. They even know the best method to present the food.
Yes, they do.
The best colors, the best flavors.
Yes.
And so that's what you're just almost like a victim who's trying to become healthy. But it's hard to because, number one, they advertise about the food.
That's right.
The food that is most healthy for you costs more than the food that's not. So do you understand what I'm saying? Is that is not you. It's what they call the price, the place. Even when, for example, when you go grocery shopping, as soon as you enter that line to purchase, you will see soda, you'll see candy. It is situated there because they know you're going to be most tempted in that grocery store to grab something. Also, what they've done is most healthy food being sold in the stores are located on the perimeter of the store. So one thing you can start doing now is avoid those inner aisles and just go on the perimeter, and you will see that's where the fruits, the vegetables, and then the meats are located. That's really all you need. And that's try to avoid.
So good.
So it starts with shopping. And when I say they have things placed, when you go down those aisles in the middle of the store, that's usually junk food. They know where to place them and what days that you're more likely to shop. They even fluctuate the price to try to accommodate your feelings and emotions with these prices and the way they place the foods so that you will purchase it. So when you go in the store, you have some control, but it's not really much control, and that's what happened. And then also the advertising that they do. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on research to determine how can we attract someone to this food. They know more about us than we know about ourselves.
You know, it's so good. It's true. And you know, it's so funny when I began to pray to God and for this weight loss journey to really, because I want to be a healthier me. I remember him telling me this. He said, I'm going to elevate your mind.
Yes.
And I said, Lord? He said, I'm going to elevate your mind. And you think of the scripture in 2 John, and I think it was John 2, it says 2 and 1 and 3, it says, beloved, right? And it's so good because it's like we have to really see ourselves as healthier when it talks but it says beloved, like I love you, my beloved daughter, my beloved son, beloved is, and I wish it all things that you may prosper and it be of good health, right? So that your soul prosper. What does your soul prosper? Your mind. The Bible says, so a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Yes.
That's elevating our mind, our soul and our emotions. That's all connected to our mind.
Yes.
And if our mind is elevated, so when the whole time you was talking, I was thinking about when the Holy Spirit said, Robin, I'm going to elevate your mind because I have to elevate your thinking.
Exactly.
And that's so powerful.
Yes.
Like when you said, I was like, oh my goodness. Like, and wow, that's really, really good. And like our soul, so that we don't get caught up in the stresses of life and emotions and all the different things and the feel goods. You know, it's not, we need to have that balance. Wow, I love that. And stay on the perimeter. Go
Just
around.
stay.
Don't go in the center. That center, keep that center core of Christ. But the world would try to mess up.
Exactly.
And your eyes are. And I noticed the cookies and the chips. You all like you said. But the health, what we need to eat, is in the perimeter around. That's really good. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
And something else you can start doing right now. I always tell people, start off with a vision of yourself, how you want to see yourself at the end of your weight loss journey.
Amen.
And keep that vision, even if you have to take a picture of your old self or draw a picture and put that all over your house,
Ooh, I love
put it in your
that.
car, so
Ooh.
you can actually start to see yourself.
Yeah, I said I wanted to see myself how I was when I first got married. I'm going to start pulling out my old pictures.
Pull them all out.
I love that. Ooh, thank you.
Yeah, pull it out, meditate on it, think about it.
Yes.
And that will start to prepare your brain and your mind to fight the addiction, because truly people are addicted.
Yes.
And another problem with being addicted to unhealthy foods is that is one of the only addictions that's legal. Other addictions are not legal.
That's good.
People, yes. So you're dealing with something that you have to have every day. Your kids have to have it every day. So you have to eat.
Yes.
The problem is they have introduced these foods that are addictive.
That's so true.
And so it's and we'll talk about this later, it's a holistic approach.
Yes.
Beginning with you visualizing.
Yes.
And then you have to set aside time. This is a good time for you to really get to know yourself.
Yes.
For example, I'll just share a story with me and my blood pressure issue. I went to a doctor a long time ago, and I said, oh, I have hypertension. It's genetic. He said, no, it's not genetic. I said, well, it's genetic and blah, blah. He was like, no. And he said, I'm not even going to put you on a medication.
I love it.
For high blood pressure. You know why? In 5 years from now, you'll be on 2. In 10 years, you'll be on 3.
That's good.
And in 15 to 20 years, they won't even work, because the primary problem is what you're eating.
I love it.
It has nothing to do with genetic. He said it may appear genetic because people in your family have it. But he said what you have to do is cut out the sodium. And it's taken me a long time, a very long time, to realize it's true. But when I was on my vacation recently, I took my blood pressure cuff. I measured my blood pressure. When I went out to eat, we went out to eat twice while we were on vacation. My blood pressure went up to 140 over 100. After that, we ate at home. Our barbecue chicken. We always had something prepared to eat.
Yes.
No junk food in the whole resort where we were staying. And that's another thing you can do. Just don't buy any junk food. Do you know my blood pressure went back down to the lowest it's been in a long time, because I'm always on a diet. I mean, I remember when I was 15 being on a diet. It's something that you do really have to monitor for the rest of your life.
Yes.
And I was so happy and so proud. And I was extremely happy to the cardiologist who told me it's all about your diet and your lifestyle.
Isn't that powerful how you made that time and you were able to say, wait, hold on. When I went to these restaurants, because we were talking this week, and I noticed when I had went to eat and I had ate healthier, had my egg whites, my spinach, and I was doing really good. And then I decided I wanted to go. I can't remember where I went. Oh, my daughter, we went out to lunch, my breakfast. And I remember looking down at my stomach after I had my breakfast with the egg whites and the spinach and everything. I looked down at my stomach, so it's looking good. Okay, I see you right there. And then I asked my daughter, we ended up going to lunch together, and we ended up going to a Chinese restaurant, an Asian restaurant, rather. And, we got the dumplings, the rice, and different things. And I looked at my stomach when I was on my way home, and my stomach had blew up. And we were talking on the phone, and you said, yeah, that sodium will just blow you up.
That's the
sodium. And I said, and I didn't even put the soy sauce or anything on my. I just had the rice, the crab rice, and I had the dumplings, and I think I can't remember what else I had. Green bean and the garlic green beans. And I said I did good because I had the green beans, and right? I had and I remember driving home, and I looked down, and I said, wait, my stomach blew up. That is so. And then when I was telling you, and we were just talking about the sodium intake, and you said that, I said, wow, that's powerful. We need to watch the sodium.
Sodium is killing our folks left and right. And you can go out to a restaurant and eat vegetables, but they put a lot of sodium in there. It does not matter. It attracts water.
Yes.
So where there's a sodium molecule, water follows behind it. And that can overwhelm your anatomy, physiology, and anatomy, and that's what creates most of the high blood pressure. Most of the high blood pressure is not due to genetics or environment. If you have that type of high blood pressure, usually appears earlier in life. I'm talking about, and I'm glad you had that as to experience and to see it. You witnessed it
for myself,
right? Yes,
and it was funny because I chose when I was eating my eggs, I chose not to pick up the salt. I said, let me get the pepper.
Exactly.
I said I was mindful. Oh, I don't need the salt, and I think because I would watch my father when I was growing up, my dad. He wouldn't even taste the food. As soon as my mother brought his plate, he got the salt, and he would go to town. And my mom said, you didn't even taste it. He just put the salt on the food. And so because of that, I was more mindful of my sodium intake. Like, Robin, you don't need to add salt to your food or add it. I'll add the seasoning, like the peppers and a different seasoning. But I don't really it's not that I don't like salt, but I don't add extra salt because I watched my father doing that. And I will watch my mother putting the sugar in the vegetables and the sugar and everything. And I think I got more addicted to the sugar more so than the sodium. But I didn't realize when you eat out, like you said, they're putting the sodium in. And I'm thinking, I'm doing good because I have vegetables. No, but that's why it's better for us to prepare our own food.
Bingo. Chicken pot pies. They just have, there's something just have a lot of sodium in there. They will have up to half of what your intake of sodium be. Just one serving will have about 50%. And because sodium, we're not supposed to consume that much, maybe a teaspoon a day. And there's so much sodium because sodium is a preservative. Also, the combination of sodium, fat, and sugar will have you addicted in a minute.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so tasty.
Yes, it is.
I mean, all of it acts on your taste buds. That covers most of your taste buds in one setting. So you can eat just one pastry, and that can be enough for your whole daily requirements. That's because people don't check and see how much fat, how many calories, how much sodium is contained. And that's something else I tell people is basically start reading the food labels. Start understanding what a serving size is. Most serving sizes are the size of the palm, the size of your fist. And usually your stomach is about the size of your fist. So when we go out to dinner, we're getting 2-3 times the amount of serving size. We think we're eating healthy. Now, if you eat in other countries, such as Canada and France, they give you the correct serving size, and Americans complain because they're like, I'm spending all this money. And there's just, where's the food?
And it's healthier. It's no preservatives. When we go, I remember going to Europe, no preservatives in none of the food. And I still remember those croissants and the eggs and different things I had. It was tasty, but it wasn't like, oh, I just had. It was just no. And it's powerful how they no preservatives. And that's why they're so healthy. Because they don't have all this extra ingredients and stuff that our body does not need.
Right. And these things are also a leading cause of fatty liver disease. So a long time ago, it used to be alcohol was a leading cause of fatty liver disease. Now it's what we're eating. So these things are toxins to our body. They make us gain weight. They make us retain fat, and water, and it's hard. The liver can only do so much. But when you fill the liver up with all these toxins, it makes it harder for us to metabolize our toxic estrogen.
Wow.
And so toxic estrogen is said to contribute to fibroids. Most of the problems that women have in our community is related to toxins and the way we eat, and then also exercise is key. Exercise helps a lot, and also it helps you reduce your risk of getting other issues. But in terms of weight loss, most of it is what you're eating. And not only is it what you're eating, it's how you eat. So these are things that people should be doing all the time.
Can you tell us about the different 4 groups of how we should eat?
Yeah, okay. So in terms of, usually there are 4 to 5 food groups. Some agencies have a little more, a little less, but usually it's fruits, vegetables, protein, and dairy, and then grains. So it used to be, this is another problem that people have. When I was growing up, it was carbs.
Yes.
You know, and now it's the whole grains, and the carbs sometimes are really tricky, but whole grains is eating like a lot of fiber.
Yes, and which we need.
Right. And then the other thing that may appear to have grains in it is like white bread, but it doesn't. So when you're eating those croissants, usually because the items that have a lot of fiber usually don't taste good. So people just choose not to eat. That's usually not going to get addicted to a wheat bread that has like 4 or 5 grams of fiber in it, because it just doesn't taste good.
Yes.
You know, I know a lot of people who, I've seen someone actually spit up after they ate it because it was awful.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just told them, you have to give your body a chance to get used to eating healthy. And so we had talked about earlier the high protein diet.
Yes.
The high protein diet works because when you consume protein and when you consume fat, that makes you feel fuller longer. The carbohydrates that most people eat, you know, that usually tastes good, but it doesn't make you feel full. It doesn't make you feel that satisfied as the protein and the healthy fats. I mean, all fats will make you feel full, but I'm going to focus on the healthy fats.
Yes.
And so that's something that we need. Also, we need omega-3s from eating fish.
Yes.
But we want to make sure we don't eat fish that are what they're around the bottom of the sea, because they say they eat everything. So it's a lot that people...
So what's the good fish and protein should we eat? What's
salmon usually.
Salmon.
Excuse me.
That's okay.
And it's something that's easy to get. But a problem, it's really difficult. But they have now what they used to have something called wild salmon that you would always see it in the restaurants, in the supermarkets. It's very hard to find now. So now they have farm raised.
So that's what I noticed. I will always get the wild salmon. It was more red, or
Yes.
But then now it's hard to get the wild salmon.
You can barely find. You can't even find it in the restaurants.
So what is going on? I wonder.
We've overfished the wild salmon, and it's cheaper to have them farm raised. But usually that means, though, they're being raised, they're restricted. They aren't naturally being raised. And usually when things aren't naturally being raised, they aren't as healthy.
That's also the nutrients. It's kind of not the same.
Yes.
And I noticed that people dye the salmon to make it look more red.
Girl, they put things in there. So, and that's why people need to start off just eating healthy.
Yes.
Because even at the supermarkets, they put in chemicals so that you don't even see how rotten it is. They keep it looking good. So again, these are things that it's just a lot going against us.
Yes.
It really is. But some things that people can do all the time is like when you take a bite of food, chew it 20 to 30 times, each bite of food.
I need to hear that.
And
say it one more time.
Okay, chew each bite of food, chew it about 30 times, or try. You can start off at 20. It's really difficult. When I first started doing it, I thought, I don't chew my food. But what happens is that when you start chewing your food that much, the food doesn't taste that good. It's a natural way. It's like you have to do all this work for one bite of food, so you don't bite as much because it's like you have to exert too much energy. So you're already making it a little bit harder. But yes, that's something that...
How long does that take to learn how?
You can start doing that now. It may feel uncomfortable, but there are some people in the United States of America who and these are skinny people. They make sure that that's a trick that they use. Just chew your food.
That's good.
Yeah. When if you get to 30, let's try to go for 40. Also, drink water in the morning when you wake up and then before each meal. That will help fill up your stomach so you won't eat as much. Yes. Also, for people who are going out to eat, sometimes you just cannot change your schedule. You cannot change that habit because it could be tied to your culture, your family.
Yes.
But what I tell people, just cut it in half.
Okay.
And so just don't eat the whole meal. Avoid the bread. Avoid what's served before your meal and after. So avoid the breads.
And the dessert.
Yes, and the desserts. And you'll do fine. And when COVID was around, I noticed people who they would only eat their food off of plastic utensils. And usually, if you do that, you're not being served as much. That will help you lose weight.
Wow, that's good. That's really good.
Just say, can I have my food in a to-go bag or to-go container? You don't get as much. Remember, your goal when you go out to eat, your goal is not to eat that much food because they have prepped that food so you will come back.
That's really good.
That's what they're doing.
Wow.
And it starts off, like we talked about, being raised in a farm. It starts off then when the fish are being raised. It's not natural. So this is adding on something else, basically more toxins. So when we call ourselves eating healthy, we really aren't. Another problem is that there's a lot of evidence that there are not that many vitamins in the soil. So when people say grow your own, you really do have to grow your own because the soil does not contain that many nutrients as it did before. And the nutrients is what we need to help us burn fat.
Wow, that's good.
So yeah, it's a lot of forces that are acting upon us to make us overeat.
Wow. And I remember growing up, my grandma had her garden. We would go pick the food, lunch out the garden, go get the vegetables for lunch, go get the vegetables for dinner.
Yeah.
It was some rich soil. Wow. So when you talk about the protein, tell us more. And you mentioned eggs is a very good source of protein.
Eggs is a very good source of most nutrients. It's very nutrient dense, meaning it has a lot of vitamins, minerals.
Even the yolk or just the egg white?
Just everything. I mean, yeah. So in terms of cholesterol, people used to link that to fat. And now they're linking fat and cholesterol to processed sugar.
Okay.
And then, of course, not exercising.
Yes, okay.
So that's why I like to take a more holistic approach. And some of the tips that I'm giving you.
Yes.
You have to focus on the food that you're eating, the food that you're buying, the way you consume it. But then there are other things going on that people don't when you watch a commercial for food, that's basically set up to hypnotize you to eat that food.
That's good.
And people are more social and more emotional than they believe. People really think that they can stand up to a lot of advertisements and not be seduced by them, but they're wrong. And so that's something
power.
Else. It is. And when you live in a healthy environment like the Seventh-day Adventists, they don't have the issues because they don't sell the products in their grocery stores.
Wow, that's good. Okay.
So that alone saves people hundreds of thousands of calories over the year. For example, I attended Loma Linda University for my residency. They had vegan burgers, which tasted the same,
so good.
And they just did not sell things that came from that contained a heart. So there was no meat, no eggs, no anything. Now, with not having the availability or the option to buy a sweet, that helps you lose weight. So that's why it's good to try to create a household where there are no sweets and nothing processed in the house.
That's good.
And if you can do that, and then eventually you start to create relationships and ties with people who are trying to be healthy.
Exactly. That's good. That's really good.
No, I met someone when me and your other cousin, we went to go see Beyonce, and we met these girls, and they were like, when we go to Beyonce concert, we only hang around people who love Beyonce because they don't have time for people who are haters of Beyonce.
Okay.
So it's like that when you start eating healthy and you want to be healthy, you still maintain some relationships, but you'll be growing when you grow in a community.
Okay.
So you also have to, tell your friends, tell anyone living in your house, do not buy. I don't care if I have a tantrum. I have to tell my boyfriend if I have a tantrum. I don't care what I do. I'm going to do it because I am addicted.
It's good.
So you cannot bring sweets into the house. But he's so used to bringing sweets into the house, even for his mother. His mother, who's very tiny, what she does now, but because of health reasons, she can't eat the way, she still will bake a banana pie and give it to people. She says low sugar, but it's like we don't need it. And it's just hard for her because that's a way she shows her love.
Yes.
So it's those type of habits that people really mean you no harm, but they aren't helping you succeed.
Like for me, I think if more people had that analogy of Christ being around people who are, lovers of Christ, or being an example for others to see Christ in your life, how they were with Beyonce. We need to be more like that for Christ.
Exactly.
Right? Be that light so others can see and to draw. You know what I mean? I like that too. How I like that you shared that because I just wanted to say that as just learn to be a light in dark places. That's good. That was good. I like that. Sometimes you need to hear what the mindset of people too. But I like what you said about that. That's really good. Having that community and how they don't have all these extra things that to tempt them.
Right.
They only have the nutrients, the things that they need that fits their culture. That they're vegan and because I have a couple clients who are 7-day Adventists and they only eat the fresh vegetables and different things. I will watch their children and I'm like, look, okay, I see you. It's a great thing. Wow, what is good protein to eat as far as meats?
Well, you can also, there are actually some vegetables that have protein in them, but they aren't complete. And so also you have nuts and beans.
Okay.
But the complete protein usually comes from meat. But also what we get from meat is vitamin B12.
Yes.
So for people who are on a plant-based diet and they aren't sure they're getting enough vitamin B12, that's one thing they have to supplement their diet.
With the beans and the vegetables.
With the meat. The meat has every type, the meat contain complete proteins, and these other sources of protein don't, such as nuts, soy, and things like that. So it's better, it just depends
on individuals. Everybody has their own.
But again, what is the serving size of a meat? It's the palm of your hand.
Yes.
And it's as thin as your pinky.
Look at that.
Yep. And people don't know.
That.
Yes.
I know. I heard about the service of your hand, but not. Wow,
right.
that's
because they left that part out. It's very small. And so a person, on average, people should consume, I'm talking about adults, should consume 5.5 ounces of meat, and it's not that big. It's just not that big. They sell it as big, but, so that's why we overeat, because we really don't understand how small the serving sizes are.
Wow.
And so like for fruit, it doesn't really matter. Vegetables, it doesn't matter. But it's like 2 servings of lettuce, 2 cups of lettuce is equal to 1 serving size. That's something else about the serving sizes, is that they change. So people really have to look them up. But the fist and the hand, they're usually good. Good to estimate when you don't have a cup. But that's something I encourage people to do, is fill up a cup of whatever they're eating so that they can see. Make sure it's the serving size. And it's just like with alcohol, with people who consume alcohol. I advise, and most of the people I advise are women, just take a shot of whatever you're going to, 1 ounce, because that is a serving size of, and then the margaritas, wine, just try to avoid beer, just try to avoid that, and you'll do better, and you'll save money. If you go out, or if someone's taking you out, just sip on that one shot, usually less than 100 calories. Margaritas can have up to 500 calories in them.
Wow.
And that's one, yes.
Wow.
So that's what I mean. People just don't know. Also, what I recommend and advise people who eat out a lot is to look up where they go and look at the calories, look at the sodium, and then look at the fat, and you will see that it's just too much. One meal usually comes out to what you should consume the whole entire day.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah, because in order to lose weight, usually you have to reduce your calories to like 1,400. Some people go less than that. I don't know if you're familiar with the urine shots that people would get, the HCG, and so you put your body into a state of starvation, but you're only consuming 500 calories a day, which is really low. Wow. And that's something that people usually cannot maintain. Something else that people are doing, which has really good results, is intermittent fasting.
Yes.
Now, that's something, I've tried it, and when I do it, I will lose a pound a day. I will lose 5 pounds in 1 week. It's just that my problem is I can't remember that I'm on it. So what I recommend for that is that you start off going 12 hours without eating. And then you increase it to 14, then 15, and then maybe 16. It's kind of hard to do beyond that. But if you could just try that, and see how, and you will see, and you will learn how to fight off hunger, because you're going to get hungry when you first start.
So how you will learn to fight off the hunger?
Because you just sit there with it and say, come on, hunger, let's see what you feel like. I want to learn how to fight you, but first I have to be aware of you.
That's really good.
And then you just sit there in that hunger. It will go away in 10 minutes.
My goodness.
Hunger pains don't last that long. But most people have not even tried
made it past the 10 minutes
to even sit with
really
a hunger pain. So I always encourage people, even if they don't want to do it anymore, just one time in your life, I want you to sit with the hunger pain, write everything down, and I want you to come back and tell me what the experience was like. And they feel stronger.
Yes,
they're like, I have never fought a hunger pain before.
I can honestly say that I have tried it, and I won.
That's good.
It was a battle.
Yeah,
and it did not last long. But I didn't even realize that it didn't last long. I just forgot.
Yes.
And I went on to something else. But I actually said, no, I am not going to eat tonight. I got off work late. I said, I'm not eating past 7. I'm not doing it.
That's good.
I'm not doing it. And I was like, whew, I went on here and went to sleep. I said, let me go ahead and go to sleep. But before then, I had just... I didn't realize that it was probably about 10. You're right, but when I was like, "Whoo, I'm hungry," to work through it, I had to do mind over matter.
Right? Yeah.
Really, I had to really okay, I'm not gonna do this, Robin. No, it's 7 o'clock. You don't need to eat. You're okay. Just get a good breakfast in the morning.
Yeah.
And that's what I just said to myself. I'm just gonna just get a nice breakfast in the morning. I'm not eating right now.
Yeah, and it builds up your willpower. It builds up your a person's ability to succeed in life, because you're struggling and you're fighting, but you're learning. That's why I say write about it and then celebrate it, because it's really something. When you learn how to fight your hunger, you'll learn how to go through suffering a little bit better.
Man,
what we define as suffering is like a hunger pain. Other people say, like, in some countries, I get hunger pains, but there are other things that I need to do. Don't succumb to things that may trigger you to do something that's unhealthy.
That's really good.
Because what happens is that when people are hungry, usually it's like stress eating. They just eat, and eat. So, it's better to learn how to deal with it, because those times will come. They'll be very challenging, but it's better if you prepare in advance for the hunger. And then through that, dealing with those hunger pains, you'll start losing weight. Change your habits. Just always try something different. Like when you hit a plateau, which everyone's going to hit. That's life. Is that you lose weight, looking good, feeling good, you hit that plateau. So what that means is your body's just readjusting. it happens all the time.
Yes.
And it's a time for you to maybe to change.
Yes.
So let's say if you're doing intermittent fasting, maybe you want to increase the time you go without food. Some people only do it 5 times a day. Maybe if that's the type of person you are, you want to do it 6 or 7 times a day. Maybe you want to eat differently, but it's the time where your body is saying, let me just recalculate, reset, and so I can get ready for the other way. But it's going to come, but you just have to be patient and know that it's coming.
Yes.
And it's not a time for you to just stop weighing yourself. I recommend that people weigh themselves every day.
Okay.
The more you monitor what you're doing, the more you'll become aware of what you're eating and how you're feeling. And then you'll realize it is usually you're not aware. That's what it is that people, like, I've gained weight recently, a lot of weight, but I've learned that at least I'm aware I'm gaining, and now I'm losing, and it's not that difficult like it used to be for me to lose, because when I gain weight, usually my house is messy. I'm not in contact with myself.
Yes.
So it's a way of what they call is self-care. Put time and energy into yourself.
That's good.
Exercise is really a form of self-care. Eating right is a form of self-care, and you deserve it.
Yes.
Everyone deserves self-care and self-love because, you came into this world alone, with help of your mother and father.
Yes.
But basically, besides God and Jesus, who else should you love? First, you should love yourself. Because when you love yourself, you teach other people how to love themselves. So many people pour into things external to them.
Yes.
And it's like, no, pour into your health is the new wealth.
Yes, it is.
It really is.
Dr. O, he came to one of our events, and he was saying, wealth is health.
Well, that's it.
When if you're not healthy, you're not going to be wealthy. And it was so good. He really taught us on that. Our wealth is our health.
No, that's excellent.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. That's so beautiful, cousin. I really love. Thank you for that. Our self-love and self-care. And so what are the different tips of weight loss can you give us as far as the scheduling, finding the time to schedule, and different exercises, high intensity?
Yeah, okay. Well, high intensity, because people don't have usually 30 minutes to exercise. So if a person is really that busy, what you tell them is to exercise 10 minutes at a time. And since it's only going to be for 10 minutes, high intensity is better. And so high intensity may be just sprinting up a hill for maybe 30 seconds, and you do as many sprints as you can. That's really good. I recommend something like that where you're really shocking your body. It won't last that long. And when you exercise, you should sweat.
Yes.
My sister used to always tell me, you're not sweating, you're not exercising. And I would be walking saying, I'm moving though.
I love it.
So that's good. That helps maintain your weight. And it's healthy for your heart. It's healthy for your body. But if you want to lose weight, you have to create deficits. And exercising helps you to create that deficit.
How often do you think that you should work out if you do high intensity workouts?
Well, it depends. So let's say if you're doing something really short, like the 10-minute, you probably can work out, do it more frequently than a very intense, high-intensity workout.
That's more like maybe like 3 days a week.
Yeah, 3 days a week, yes.
Even for if you're doing a high intensity as well? Or you could do like 5 days for that?
Girl, every day you're supposed to take about 8,000 steps.
Oh, okay.
Every day.
Okay, yes, that's true. They say 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah,
right.
You don't have to do the 10,000s, but they say at least 8,000.
Okay.
Yeah, at least 8,000.
They're always changing it, huh?
Well, yeah. That's another problem, is that they change, the science changes. It's just like, for a long time, people thought eating fat caused obesity, but it's really processed sugar. But at that time, someone actually deliberately hid the studies and convince governments that it's the fat, and it's not the fat, it's the processed foods. So yeah, things will change, and it's best to, I remember I had this really good physician who was my OB-GYN doctor, and he said anytime something comes out new, wait and make sure all the mistakes are worked out. It's just like with artificial sugar.
Yes.
They found out some of the artificial sugars are toxic. It's better to consume agave or honey, or just take the natural sugar, because the artificial things usually don't work out that well. They just don't, because they're putting something that's not supposed to be in your body. God didn't make it to go inside your body, and they're putting it inside your body.
So that's good, cousin. So I wanted to ask you, Dr. Susan. So I noticed, for me, I love my coffee, and you it was so funny. I said, would you like a coffee? He was like, girl, no coffee. That's an addiction. I don't even. But the thing about it is, I love coffee, but I tried to get away from my caramel macchiatos and all of that foolishness. Nothing against anybody who likes caramel macchiatos, but now I try to do a sugar-free coffee with a plant base. So the sugar-free, is that still like a substitute? Is that worse than should I just do maybe I should just have honey put in it? Or just, I don't even think they put sugar in it at all, because I do sugar-free. So I think there's no sugar in it at all.
Well, sugar-free should mean they don't, but what are they putting in to substitute? That's the problem.
That's what I need to find out. Because I was told that sometimes it makes you crave more sweets when they do the substitutes. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're not satisfied. The human body usually only gets satisfaction from foods that are natural.
Yes.
Food
that's
that
really
God
good.
put here. Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah, the other stuff, that's why you can eat and still feel hungry, because your brain and your body is still really hungry because you haven't nourished it. What you're consuming
really
isn't nourishing.
That's really good.
Yeah,
that's
so
really good. Wow.
But also I want to talk about this database where it's the National Weight Control Database. They have over 10,000 people who've lost weight in the database, and a lot of research is done on those people. And these people have kept weight off for over a year.
Wow.
And so a lot of the tips that people should get should come from people who've already experienced it. So what those people do is that they usually exercise more than an hour a day, or about an hour a day, at least 5 days a week. And they have some way of tracking their food intake, because that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck, is just having a way to establish that you're only consuming about 1,500 calories. Now, if you're a swimmer for the Olympics, you probably are burning like 8,000 calories, so you need more. But for the average person, and the older we get, usually naturally you have to exercise more, because you're going to gain body fat. Women lose the estrogen, men lose the testosterone, and we really are most active when we're kids. So even if you weren't on a diet, let's say if you were a small person all your life, you still would probably need to exercise more or eat less when you get older. So age, because you lose muscle mass.
Yes.
So that's why the older you get, it becomes more important to lift weights, to do aerobic exercises. And then as we age, we need to also work on our balance.
Yes.
But that won't burn. But that's just something to throw in that you really
that
need
balance
to
is important.
Balance and stretching.
Stretching, I'm telling you, I even go to a stretch clinic where I get stretched.
Oh, wow.
And I love the stretching. It makes a difference. Even when I wake up in the morning, I get my morning stretch. It's the best feeling for the whole day. It's the best feeling, the stretching. I love that. Okay,
so that's what I recommend for exercise, is that you do
mentally too, right? It just really helps.
Oh yeah, because you hold tension in your body.
Yes.
And that's something else, is that people do not understand that when you stretch, you're stretching areas, your body holds on to all of the stress that you're experiencing. It's not only your mind, it's your body too. And you need to stretch. I know some people walk around there, they lose their neck as they age, they're but it's like, just relax, breathe. That also will help you lose weight, because you'll become more mindful. And there's something called mindful eating, where what they do is they tell you to look at something like a little raisin, feel it, think about how it grew, think about the people who grew it. You're slowing down, you're challenging your hunger pain, and you're doing it. And then you take the raisin and slowly raise it. You just don't eat mindlessly. You just become mindful, and then you chew the raisin. And you really savor the taste.
That's really good.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, so you just slow down, and with the chewing, 25 bites, 25 times for each bite. That's an act of mindful eating in itself. So that's when you really start controlling your eating.
Self-control.
Self-control.
That's the fruit of the spirit.
Yes, it is.
Man.
Yeah, so anyway, so that database has a lot of food, a lot of really good recommendations.
Yes.
The thing is that the recommendations haven't changed that much. You know, high protein diets usually do better. I don't recommend them long term, but it will help reduce your belly fat. It'll help you with some other, for people who really need to lose the weight.
Yes.
And when your protein intake should be anywhere from 10 to 30% of what you're eating.
Okay.
And I would push it towards the 30 because a lot of people, they really can go days without eating protein because they're just eating. They think they're eating healthy. But meat does provide a lot of nutrients.
Yes.
So you should eat, one meal should have a dairy, small thing from dairy, fruits and vegetables should be half of your plate. And they actually have plates that you can purchase where half of your plate is fruits and vegetables and then protein, something for grains or something for dairy. So if people are really having a problem with it, they should actually go out and purchase a serving size kit.
Wow.
And that'll have 1 cup, 1 teaspoon, 1 tablespoon, and then the plates, which will help guide you into making healthy decisions. And because you really eventually have to start eating healthy to maintain the weight loss. So to me, the weight loss part is easier. It's maintaining. We've all lost. I know people, we one time counted up how much we've lost, and it was like just hundreds of pounds, each of us. But we gain it back. So why do we even think that way? Weight loss is just controlling your health, which is your wealth. That's something that should be every day.
Yes.
And for people who have problems remembering that they're on a journey, they can get these apps that are reminders. And there's one app I use, Fabulous. It sends you reminders like all the time. It's sending you something like almost every 2 hours saying, and it's also teaching, like it'll make you visualize who you are. That's the first thing they do is think of the end.
I love that.
That is so powerful.
Yes.
Draw a picture of it. Remind yourself in the mirror, when you wake up. And also what they focus on is drinking water and sweating.
Yes.
Because drinking water will help, because most people don't hydrate. And when I say hydrate, I'm talking water only. I like doing a lime shot because that helps alkalize the body. And plus, it kind of invigorates you in the morning. Just take some lime, half a lime, and squeeze it and just take a shot. Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, it kind of peps you up. And then instead of using salt, you can use other ingredients that are beneficial to your health, like turmeric.
I love turmeric.
Yeah, cinnamon. Yeah, those types of things. So there's a lot. Excuse me.
It's okay.
But in this, I created a calendar, and in this, it contains tips and advice that was created based on what's in the national database. Okay. And so it, for example, I have in here, eat organic foods, enter a 3K. Just enter one, and then you work up towards it. And it's okay if you don't complete it. A lot of people don't complete it. Okay. Eat salad for dinner. So some people have changed where they eat the most calories for breakfast. And then they may skip lunch, but for dinner they have salad. That's the way the Europeans, dinner is super salad. And it makes sense because you're just not going to burn that many calories at night unless you have an activity that you're going to do. That's another little
really
trick.
Good. That's really good.
Also,
so in your salad, you will add your protein though, like a salmon or a chicken or.
Yes.
Okay.
And then there are lots of fruits and vegetables that some contain protein. And then also, people don't know what a healthy diet looks like. They have no idea of what healthy foods look like or should look like.
Show them.
Okay.
That looks
so
good.
This is an example of healthy foods because I realized that people have no idea what healthy eating is.
Look at that. Look beautiful. We need those colors.
Yeah, colors. Yeah, because the more colors you have, I'm glad you reminded me. The more nutrients. You're going to make sure that you cover all of the vitamins.
Yes.
Like orange, vitamin A usually. Yes. And there's a reason why it's orange. And these things just brighten them up. And this is how we ate naturally. Before, when we were hunters, we would just eat tons of food. And it's really an experience because some people I met some women, they said the only thing they can cook is spaghetti and like hamburgers and tacos.
Wow.
And they're raising families.
Wow.
But they go out to eat a lot.
So, cousin, if they wanted to purchase this, can they get this?
Oh, I mean, I just give it out free. It's old. One time I was selling it, but I still have some copies left.
So whatever, if you would like this, let us know, and then
Okay.
I'll see if my cousin, we can get you some copies.
Yeah.
Just DM us.
Yeah, or I can start putting them up on your website.
Oh,
or
that'd be
something.
great.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
Yeah, just
okay, so we'll do. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm excited.
Yeah, so something else I wanted to talk about is sort of like going on a detox diet. I used to do that, and I've done one recently, and that's what started my weight loss journey, where I would eat a healthy breakfast, a healthy dinner, but in between those times, I would snack on a fiber drink, and that because it filled me up. So that's a little trick you can do, is just consume a fiber drink during
so
the day.
guy told me to do. I started with this program and I'm trying to see how it's going to work. But he was telling me to make sure I do my fiber drink, put my like greens in my drink, and I can use cherry juice, organic cherry juice, and you put that in there because cherries is good for inflammation. And it's really good, like the turmeric is. And they said it really helps, like a detox, you know. So then it has the fibers and all this. Okay.
Yeah, and also it makes you sleep well. And it makes your GI system go through. I mean, it gives me gas if I eat too many cherries. But yeah, cherries are very good for you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so, and so what happened as a result of me not eating so much, this is the way I tricked my stomach into thinking I was full. By consuming this fiber drink, I really was full, so I didn't get hungry. So if a person gets hungry all the time, just drink a high fiber drink and sip on it throughout the day.
That's good.
Yeah, because the thing about fiber is that you usually want to consume a lot of water, so you're getting your water in.
Ooh,
and that's always crucial when you go on a high fiber diet, especially if you're going on one where you're using the powder forms. You have to consume a lot of water.
Yes.
And that's a way to lower your cholesterol, lower your triglycerides.
Yes.
And then your stomach will feel flatter. And once you start, I always tell people, try to lose as much weight as possible during the first week. Because once you see the success, that will motivate you.
to keep going.
Right, to keep going. So that's the key when people have problems losing weight, is that they're like, oh, I'm not losing weight. And I try to work with them where you're not usually, unless you're very thin already, you're not reducing the calories. It's something that you're eating. And I know one lady, she said that I told her to write down what she was eating for a week. And she said it was so much. And she was so embarrassed that she didn't want to give it to me.
eating. I need to keep a journal. I had a journal. I need to start back on that.
Yeah, keeping a journal, and then you want to keep a journal of what you eat, and then try to include the serving size.
Oh, okay.
And then you want to add it up.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so you can go on, everything's online now. You can add up, like even if you go out to eat. That's why I recommend if there's a place where you go a lot, what you want to do before you go out to eat is look at the calories, look at the nutrients, but really based on the calories, because we're talking about weight loss, decide ahead of time what you're going to eat. Even if you go to McDonald's, Jack in the Box, all the menus are available, you'll be surprised how many calories are in these foods. That's something you can do. So there's a lot of information, and then I can get this on your website or, whatever.
Yes,
I can just post them up, because I still have them individually.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm super excited, so I just want to just thank you so much for just, I try to leave every podcast with an I am. And so share, what is your I am? What would you say about yourself how do you see yourself as what will be your I am?
Okay. Well, since I'm on all these, I am constantly evolving toward the optimal person I want to become.
I love it. I love that. So what is your I am? I'm gonna ask you today, think of the I am for yourself today. That's your homework. I'm not gonna give you I am. She's evolving. I say the same thing. I am evolving. I'm trying to become the best version of myself. Tell me, what is think of your own I am and say and work towards that. That's your homework for this week. Thank you so much, Cousin
Oh, no,
Susan,
thank you.
Dr. Susan. I tell you, this was amazing, very rich information, and I pray that you take this with you. Thank you for joining Faith Over Facts. It was a pleasure to have you. Please share and comment and like and subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to Faith Over Facts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We have new episodes every Friday. If you would like to support the ministry by donating or purchasing Faith Over Facts merch, please do so by visiting my website, RobinReneeMinistries.com. See you next time. Bye-bye.